Hi, big up, it's Sean here on the Shankly's Boot Room. I'm back with another video, or live stream basically, and it is the post-match for the Burnley Liverpool game. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if I've got enough blood pressure tablets to cope with what's going on at the moment. Wow. All these late winners and stuff like that, and yeah, it's just something else, man. Something else. First of all, if you're coming in to the chat or anything, you just let me know if you can hear me okay. I've been having a few connection problems, lag out, which I hope I don't. Like, if you come across the stream, if you're coming into the stream, if you can let me know how I'm sounding and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully in too much though. Looks all right at the moment. Right, I'm on the 200 subs. I thank everybody who's been subscribing to me so far. I don't do a lot of videos, so it's not like I'm some prolific every day doing video stuff. So I'm really happy with the way that the channel's growing and stuff like that. But yeah, if you do come in, or you see this after later in the day or something like that or whatever, if you could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, to get me up there. Obviously, there's a lot of Liverpool channels out there, so you know, I'm just a small little fish in a very big pond, really. But that's okay. It's all about community and building up my own community, basically, on here, which I want to do, which I love to do organically, and you guys and all that kind of stuff. And that's how I want it to progress, really. So the game yesterday, I think we can open up by saying after 10 minutes in this game, you could realise you could put me at centre back. You just were not going to need a centre backs in this game. You could virtually do away with them. Well, no, maybe a bit more than 10 minutes. But it was about the 7th, 8th minute they had probably their one and only attack, where they blazed it over the bar in the end. Other than that, there was just nothing from them going forward. So you can put all that to one side. Let's talk a little bit about. I don't think I'm going to go through a minute by minute or go through the. Let's just go over the issues and the things like that have been happening with Liverpool right now, and just see where we sort of land with some of that, really. Because you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking to myself, something's not right with regards to where we're kind of playing some of our players and this kind of a thing. Last year, when you saw Kirkes playing for Bournemouth, what did you see him as? Or more importantly, what did Slot see him as, and the recruiting team see him as? Because how he's actually been playing so far this season is not, I think, what they would have planned him for, really, because I don't see why you go for a Kirkes and then expect him to be, in a couple of the games, quite defensive. And when he has gone forward, he's been making these mad runs back and with these flying tackles and everything, like in yesterday's game, you know, by which I mean Arne Slot was actually correct to bring him off, because I think that was a sending off waiting to happen. And no doubt they'll have words, and you know, he's a young player at the end of the day. He's 21, still very young and everything. But for me, I want to see him going down the wing. You know, I want to see him getting at Poe and getting balls in, or just getting down the end with speed. Because one of the things that struck me yesterday was our lack of tempo. The tempo just wasn't right in the game. Very lethargic, very slow, especially in the first. And everything is congested through the middle. You've almost got McAllister almost overlapping with, or getting too close to Wirtz. Let's look at Wirtz, because Wirtz has come under a lot of criticism. He's actually done more running than any other Liverpool player, by the way. His mileage is, he's put himself about. So why is he not as effective as we want him to be? And I think one of the issues is how central he is. He's so central to everything. Centrally, physically in the pitch, I mean. And what it's allowing is, it's allowing him very, very predictable in that all the defenders need to do is just midfielder, just pick him up or whatever it might be, and just players can manipulate him almost off the ball if you like. So Wirtz is, even if you go back to his time in Germany, he wasn't really a direct central 10 playing in a classic 10 around the centre role. In off to the left, receiving the ball, then he would do his stuff to come inside and create for other players or get a shot off himself or whatever it might be. So he's very left bias actually in that regard. So he's quite a little bit deep, and McAllister and him are kind of almost getting in each other's way, if you like, is how I've been seeing it. And I saw a bit of that again. Let's go to the start of the game. The start of the game, I actually didn't have too many problems with it. I would have expected him to maybe go for Bradley. Conor Bradley would have been, I think, the obvious choice possibly at right back. And then probably put Szoboszlai in the midfield and perhaps not play McAllister from the start in this game. And some of that's not just because he's been travelling and he's played abroad, but just because he's not really been that fit, I don't think, since he's come back, since he's missed most of pre-season, hasn't looked particularly that sharp, and he's not the quickest player, by the way, any rate, I just want to see if we can maybe see some kind of connection between Szoboszlai and Wirtz. Maybe Wirtz can drift off to the left and we see Szoboszlai picking up that more central area and then looking to feed Wirtz in, and then we go in with the next phase of the game, if you like, which I think will also, and I think it will also help to a certain degree Mo Salah as well. So, but we have to keep it real, guys. There's a lot of players really, really, really out of form. Yeah, there's no getting around it. For those in the background, if you can just let me know if you can actually hear me, because it doesn't come up on here anywhere, my total output, as it were, really. So I'd just like to know if I can at least be heard. That'd be great if you could let me know. What was I saying? So yeah, we are out of form. A lot of players really out of form, coming from another league. All these factors coming together, and probably not enough work, I think, even being done on the training ground that I can see that's coming together in these games, and I don't know quite why that is so productive, and then these internet will go in. Let's just have a look. It's restarting, I think. Internet all day, I don't know why. Hopefully it's back in anyway. So the point I'm trying to make is that sorry about this, I've got in this. I think I'm back on now, guys. Sorry if I keep cutting out. We haven't been starting game. We haven't. There's a lot of players out of form, and with everything going on, I don't actually think where we're at the moment is as bad as some people are making out. Or I'm not as overly surprised as some other people have been about this, because I just feel when you factor everything in together, it kind of just makes a bit of sense, really. What I do think is we need to have a little. There needs to be a lot more work on the training pitch, trying to get all these things to gel together and getting people into positions they want. Like I just mentioned at the beginning, you have to look at what we bought these players for and where we're playing these players. Slot at Feyenoord played with two high pressing fast wingers. One would go, one would stay. That's how he played. I'm not saying he wants to play necessarily 100% exactly the same way now, but that's what he used to do, and getting balls into that way. But there was a pace and a tempo to everything, and we don't have a pace and a tempo to anything. So if you can imagine a Frimpong and a Kirkes, alternatively, when one goes the other stays, when one, that kind of thing. So you've got a defensive shape, but you've also flow into defensive shape at the back. And if you're going to buy fast wingers, if you're going to buy wingers of the calibre that we have in terms of speed and being able to get down wings, you've got to utilise that. It's to your advantage, and we haven't used it enough. And that will also encourage the pace and tempo of the game itself. Because if you've got them whipping down, you're going to have the players moving into positions to receive the ball. It's going to naturally speed things up. It can even come from midfield. I thought Gravenberch had a fantastic game yesterday. I've got no complaints with Gravenberch. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, Gravenberch, yesterday. Absolutely lovely to see him, the way he's playing and everything. He hits the ball so well. There's another thing I'd like to see Wirtz doing. If he's going to play centrally, he's got to learn to shield the ball better. Use his body. He doesn't have to use his body and strength, but use it in direction. If you've got a player coming full pelt at you in the front, do a turn so that he brings you down or makes a tackle and you get a free kick out of it, etc., etc. So he's very head on, tries to go into these attacks head on, and then the ball breaks down, and then the whole situation breaks down, and he ends up getting dispossessed or whatever, and away they come with it. But he is moving a bit better. As I say, his numbers are brilliant in terms of his coverage and his creation and everything, but he's not finding. And we've got so many players out of form. Mo Salah's badly out of form. I think with him, we're not servicing. Again, it's another player we're not servicing that well. Most of our issues really are coming from midfield balance, because at times Szoboszlai in there, who was so good in the number 10, or at least holding things. When we lose the ball, of course, his coverage is incredible for trying to win the ball back. But even so, person down really loved, and of course he's been actually brilliant. He's come back. No problems with that. That's a big thing, and it will, as we get a better understanding, he'll more towards the left, which is his natural position, to try and receive the ball in high, and then I think he'll look to interact with either Gakpo or maybe Ekitike, or in the future Isak as well. Who we're not even. Gakpo's another one. Gakpo is very one-dimensional in the sense that when it all comes off, it's brilliant. When he cuts inside and runs into the box and gets his shot, and he was the third highest scorer, I think, for Liverpool last season in his game. Yeah, but the difference with he isn't Mo Salah, you knew what he wanted to do every single moment. You know what he wants to do all the time, but it's stopping him doing it. Doing a lot of what he wants to do, because he's not of that higher level player. I'd say in our team he's one of our replacements, if you like, Gakpo. But he's a replaceable player. You're a diverse player, Even Rio, when he comes on, offers quite a lot more. He does. Obviously, he offers pace, he offers directness, we mustn't forget that. And he was lively when he came on in the second half. So this is my assumption of where Liverpool are, is the connection between the midfield and the forwards needs to get better, and also the forwards. So the Wirtz to Salah, to Ekitike, to Gakpo, to Isak when he starts playing, etc. All this has to become the stuff we need to really, really work on. I think defensively our shape will be okay. Virgil has been better in the whole of last season, and he was brilliant last season. He's been absolutely incredible, really incredible. It's been a joy to watch, and I've really enjoyed it. And equally, really, with Ibu, I thought he had as he did with Arsenal. It's interesting, two ultra defensive teams. We've been fine because obviously you're not getting that onslaught of attacks and whatever. Because Arsenal were very defensive, and of course Burnley just never came out. They effectively, at times, almost played with a double five, with sort of a 10 at the back, really, which is totally horrendous. It's that's the way they set up. They were out to get a point, is how they saw it. Point would have been a victory to them, and obviously we wanted the 3 points. So we have to become quicker, better understanding in our midfield. Whoever's in the midfield, we need a better layoffs. We need better creation. We need better. We're in transition. All of these things need to come into our midfield at the moment. I'm not too keen on Kirkes doing the thing where he's coming infield quite a lot from left back. The thing is, what I can't get over is you're not utilising him for what you bought him for. He's to get forward, to bomb on, get forward, get into the box, get into the 18-yard area and cross balls in, or interlink with Gakpo in this case, who don't seem to have a very good relationship at the moment, Kirkes and Gakpo, in my opinion. That needs to improve as well. So it's more little things than huge things. They're things that can be worked on. They're things that can be improved. They just need a bit of time to put those things right. Plus also the natural progression of players getting to understand each other more and more and more. That chemistry side of things, which will happen, but it happens over time. It can't just happen overnight. It just doesn't happen like that. Even though they're great players, even though we have some wonderful players, it cannot happen just like that. It's impossible. So I'd like to see more of that really going on, and so that'd be interesting to see how that kind of transpires really. But yeah. So what else can we say about the game? The substitutions, I thought, like I say, I don't think Slot should have. I would have. I don't know if I approve of him starting with Szoboszlai at the back. I felt that would have been better to start him. When we brought Bradley on, he gave us a new energy to the game. He was getting forward more, making more of a nuisance himself, getting balls into the box, and we looked much improved when he came on. And I think if we'd started with him, with Szoboszlai in the midfield and not McAllister, I want to see if he can get that better working relationship with Wirtz. And I think that's so playing on the left of the pivot and playing, looking for Wirtz really mainly, or going out wide, of course, into wider areas. And of course, Gravenberch done some amazing runs. He's done some wonderful opened up. He's a phenomenal player, running off into the box or running off and laying balls off and stuff like that. He's not the greatest passer, but he runs with the ball beautifully, and he intercepts the ball. His duels, he's very good on duelling as well. He can win most of his duels, which I like with him, of course. Really important in the six. So he might not be a natural six, but he is understanding that role more and more, and he's improving more and more. We're seeing a development with him that is just incredible, really, and he's just a fantastic player. And him, I would say Virgil, Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch. He's only played less games because he missed a couple of games, but has been really pivotal to that side of things. But guys, we're sitting here with 12 points out of 12, and we've got to, whatever we can say about it, we've got to be so happy with that, especially with the way we played. And great teams and champions winning teams have to win some games ugly, have to win games with a bit of luck. And there has to be a bit of luck on your side, and of course, we can't carry on like that for the whole season, of course not. But I think now with these next 6 games we've got left before the next international break, I believe that the playing in rotation, just getting into that rhythm, I think we're going to see Liverpool improve. I think we'll be much improved by the end of this before the last game before the international break to where we are now. I just think that little bit of time and that playing every three or 4 days is going to be really helpful to us. We've got some big games coming up, of course. With the Champions League, I don't know that we will go gun-ho in that like we did last year for a couple of reasons, really. One, I think Slot's mentioned it, that it's almost a disadvantage to win the thing, to win your group phase, I mean. So I think we'll do enough. We'll do enough to get through and enough to probably get into that top 8. And I think that's what we'll be aiming for, as opposed to really going all out to try and win it and, just sort of overextend ourselves. There's quite a few teams from last year's Champions Leagues that PSG comes to mind that started off and actually almost close to qualify. So I'm not saying we have to leave it to that. So we've obviously got Atletico Madrid on Wednesday, so we'll want to do well in that one. But I don't think we'll go as full on as we did last year for the Champions League in the group phase. I'm talking about, not because I'm saying I don't want us to be bothered with it, because we will be very with it, and Slot will be too. But the point is, we don't need to be so all action, all giving everything to that, and then coming back to a league game, and then it's a cup game, and then it's another league game, and then it's another Champions League. There's so many rotations, so many games to come, and players are still trying to find fitness. I mentioned on a previous video of mine that another big thing with Slot is he likes to build up into the season. It's a big thing with him, and great managers of the past have adopted this. Pep Guardiola's one of them, actually. If you notice, up until Christmas, Man City might not always be playing their best football, but they're still winning games, they're still getting through. And we could be seeing a little bit of that effect. I think it's deeper than that with us, because obviously we've got a lot of players we're trying to gel into the team, and we are really playing quite poorly, to be fair. But it's not because Slot wants to play poorly. He wants to build the players up because the season's a long season. It's a 9-month season, as we know. 9 months is a long time. And he doesn't want us to be effectively going all in now, and then come Christmas and come January we start petering out with our fitness levels and recovery levels and everything like that, because we put so much into the first half. It's a long season, yeah. So we want to finish strong and start a bit slow. And the classic example of this is Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson did this for years at Manchester United. Slow starting, building everything up slowly, getting yourself to a point where you can, when others start to drop off, they're coming into their peak. But it's important to be in there until that point. So it's doing enough every game. And this might be some of the psychology that Slot has. The problem is he's got a lot of players out of form. So we almost need to play our way into form. We're actually dying out for a really good performance now. That's what we do need. Whether it's going to come at Atletico Madrid or might even be the Merseyside derby, because that'll force the best out of us anyway, because we won't want to lose that one. However it comes, it has to come through... it has to come through us playing our way into that form, having better understanding, working hard on the training pitch. Why is Slot playing the way he is? Why is Slot doing some of the things that I find a bit weird, like what he's doing with the wing backs, maybe even Verts to a certain point, and all these kinds of things? I'm not 100% sure, if I'm really, really honest about that, because he can see the problems like we can. You don't need to be a deep football analyst to work out that things are not right. So he'll know more than anyone. So it's up to him to now put those things right, and I think he will do that. But like I say, I get worried about our wing backs, why we're using them like we are, why they're not bombing on, if at least one of them bombs on. Maybe at times. Yesterday you could have had the wing backs bombing on, right, for the entirety of that game, because Burnley were a 0-0 threat going forward. 0. Yeah? Especially in the second half. So, you've got to unlock this thing. You've got to get balls into the box. You've got to do everything you can to get get the whole thing rolling. So that I don't understand what's happening quite on that. That's a big mystery to me. But it's great to see Gravenberch have such a great game. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. I really do. His control, his turn, his sprints out in getting up into forward areas, just phenomenal. We have a wonderful player in Gravenberch. We really do. So, I mean, I was one of his harshest critics when he went to a six. When they started, I was thinking to myself, is that really going to work? Because I didn't see him in this kind of a role. And he's not an out-and-out six, yeah, of course, but he's got so many attributes there because he wins his duels. He's great at bringing the ball out and doing the short pass thing, But as I say, it'd be interesting to see. With the games coming up now, I think we'll get more and more into form. I think we'll slowly get more and more into a pattern of play, a better understanding with each other, and I'm very, very confident that we will end this phase of games until the international break better than how we've started it. I just think with the international break, players at different levels of fitness, new players coming into the team, coming from different leagues, getting an understanding together, gelling together, just starting to work on things. Then we had an international break. So all these factors do have to come into it. We do have to accept that is going to be one of the situations. Yeah, it's going to happen. So, but I just really do believe that the end of this phase of before the international break, these games we've got coming up now, we will play ourselves into form. We talk about playing into form, and I think that will happen. And the understanding will come along with that along the way. Yesterday with slot substitutions, as I said, I didn't like how we started the game, but the substitutions he made nearer to the end of the game, I would have liked to see Rio come on a little bit earlier than he did, but they were all attacking substitutions, and I have no problem with that because there was zero threat going that way. So I don't have any problems with those particularly. Like I say, could have just brought Rio on a little bit early. He's a little late to have a lot of impact, I think, there, and he was having a bit of impact. But yeah, so I'd have liked to have maybe even Frimpong as well. Just see them come on. Mo Salah, should we drop him? No. It's a question I got asked yesterday. A lot of people want to see him coming out of the team. He's not doing enough, or see him being brought off in games. Let's be honest about 9 years. 9 years now we've had Salah. It's 9 years, isn't it? How many times have you seen him go through? How many times have you seen Mo Salah go to bad patches? A run of games where he doesn't play well, but he might have an important goal or an assist or whatever, but he's not actually playing very well. He goes through a lot of these phases since he's been at Liverpool. It's rare to see him start a season and finish a season. When he comes back from AFCON, sometimes he can be not the best. Sometimes that affects him, especially if he's gone out. If they've gone out early in the competition, he gets affected by that, I think. So we've seen all this before, but you don't drop Mo Salah because, even in this team, because he still has that something that can change a game. That something, that just that one moment that can, as we saw. So really, well and truly, I'm not a big advocate of that at the moment. It doesn't mean to say that can't change if he continues to be like this and continues to be so out of form. It's something we might have to look at. I don't know. But for the moment, I'm not going down that road yet with him. I still think he's a really important part of the team, even though he has been pants. Let's be honest about it. Just all the games really this season he has been, but I still think he's an important cog in us getting back into where I want us to be. I'd love to see a good performance from us now. That's what the next thing I'm waiting for with Liverpool, a good performance, because we haven't had that for a while, and that's the next thing I'm waiting for, and that will come with the players playing the positions that best suit them. Let's try and see Verts drift into the left a bit. He doesn't have to become start on the left in Gakpo. I'm not talking about that, but just his positioning. Get a bit more left. Yes, he might get a bit closer to Gakpo. Pick up that ball and let him run, because that's what he was doing in Germany. And I just think that works well for him. This central positioning that he's picking up, he's just so easily crowded out. In a game like yesterday against Burnley, where you've got 10 men behind the ball, what's the point in playing a dead straight ball to him forward, dead centre, and all this kind of thing? Yes, you can play balls out to the wings, and he can make runs and make him, and get into space and things like that. Yeah, of course, he's got to do better on those things. But he is still getting used to the league, and we have to remember that he will come good. Wirtz is too good a player to remain as he's been over the start of this season. Definitely, he will come good. So we have to remember that. But all round, Liverpool are going to improve as each week goes on, and as we get closer and closer. Like I've said about this build-up with Slot, it's very important to him. I think he likes to start slow in seasons and build up. And my proof of that is in Feyenoord. That's how we done it there. They played much less pre-season games like we played this year, and a little bit more tactical stuff and training, but just trying to build the players into full fitness over a period of time. That's why you've been seeing a lot of players going off with cramp. That can happen in early season anyway, but because some of the players are not quite up to where some other clubs might have their players, if you like. Klopp's idea was to start really, really strongly, get loads of points on the board, get yourself up to Christmas, and then try and do. In actual fact, that's a very good point with our season, because actually how we've been playing in these first first four games has actually been very close to how you would want to end a season, trying to get late winners and trying to sort of see games through and all that kind of thing. This is what you tend to get at the end of the season. We've had it at the start of the season this time, and that's why I think at the end of the season we're going to end really strong, and we're going to shock a lot of people with how we end the season this year, because I think we're holding ourselves back a lot, and I think there's going to be good rotation once Isak comes in, and this good rotation combined with conserving ourselves until the end of the season. You wait and see. It's going to be a big change on our end of seasons to what we've seen in previous years, over the last few years, where we've sort of almost petered out and looked absolutely dead on our legs. We're going to finish well this season because that gradual build up from pre-season to now and onto the future, and plus also the Slot will be using many more rotational things in terms of substitutes and changing players here and there to keep things a bit fresh. That's how I think he's going to be playing it through this year. So don't expect us to go gung-ho in the Champions League. I don't think it's going to happen in this group phase of the Champions League. And the main reason I put on that, as I've said earlier, is because I think it's no point. We can win these games. 1-0, whatever, 2-0, whatever, 2-1, whatever. We can win a lot of these games still, but we just don't have to overexert ourselves to try and come top of it and get PSG at the end of it. So it's no point. So it's about qualifying, and I think that's one of the big changes you'll see this year. We might be number one, and we'll qualify because we're one of the best teams there to do it, and we will do it. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to this. So this is just a quick video from me. Kind of a few people have been popping in and really commented. But please do comment, and please do like and subscribe too. I really appreciate it. I hope I'm going to see you on the next one. Will probably be. I'll try and link up with Uncle Rod's, see if we can do one together. So we'll see what happens there. I do appreciate it, and